Love of sensual objects is bondage. Distaste for objects of sense is release. Destroy the craving seed and attain the non-dual blissful Brahmanic seed. The craving for sense object is the bondage. Their existence seem to have given you little pleasure, so it binds you. Now you crave for it, and it gives you more and more pain. This is the nature of sense object. They promise pleasure to begin with and gives you also a little taste, but then leaves you with pain and suffering. Now you are hooked. You cannot leave it. You cannot have it. Even having is painful, leaving is painful, doing anything is painful. This is the nature of sense object. And this is the nature of bondage. So the Rishi says, bondage is what? Attachment, craving for the objects of senses. Whole life is a lesson. You can go through this. Freedom is what? Virakti means lack of craving, detachment for the objects of sense. Just like a child is craving for toffee or candy or an ice cream. And that is the life for it. If the ice cream or candy is not there, it will yell and scream and go over on the floor and cry and bang the head on the door and do all sorts of things to get that piece of candy. But as an adult, you don't bother, you don't worry whether you get it or not. Even if you skip a meal here and there, it doesn't bother you at all. You don't sit and cry because you missed a meal. You would say, okay, well, it may be good for me to lose a little weight. But a child cannot. A child will cry and make a big thing out of it. One meal it cannot miss it. This is virakti. Virakti is when unmindful of it. Any pleasure, okay, so what, it is there, fine. If it's not there, so fine. Freedom from the pleasure is the real pleasure. Pain does not bind you, it is the pleasure that binds you. And the bondage is painful. If you are bound, you are not bound by misery, you are bound by your cravings, your pleasures. And liberation is freeing from your own pleasures. Grip of your pleasure. Raga Pijam Dagdva. He's not saying hatred, drop your hatred. No. You don't need to drop your hatred if you can drop your craving. Burn the seed of craving that is in you. And then the non-dual Brahman is already available inside you. There is a throne. Why don't you sit in that throne? And it is for you. You are walking around with the torn cloth in a shabby state, begging for things that anyway belongs to you. Stop being a beggar. And craving is nothing but being like a beggar. Craving for pleasure is the same state of a beggar who is begging and nobody is giving him what he wants. Says, wake up, wash up. You are the king. What is the pleasure that you want? They will all beckon to you. They'll come to your feet. You don't be slave of pleasure. Pick those begging bowls. You'll find your meal will come decorated in a silver plate to you. You're holding on to a begging bowl. Nobody even drops a penny in it. As long as your hand is stuck to the begging bowl, you will not realize the silver plate that is coming in front of you.